My topic says, do you really hate the doctor? So, see, as it's the biggest two paradox of my life, being an ophthalmic surgeon. After every surgery that I do, and somebody asks me, how was the surgery? Else, it was amazing. The patient is alive, the patient is about to see. Whenever I come down from a stand-up performance, I come and say, how did the performance go? Oh, I killed it. These are the two biggest paradoxes of my life that I live with. I'll make sure that you guys do a small exercise. Take your phones out very quickly and open Google. Take your phones out very quickly and open Google and Google headache. Can you just open the first headache, common causes of these symptoms? Can somebody from the audience read out what's given, or can you read aloud with me? Examples include lack of sleep and incorrect eyeglass prescription, stress, loud noise exposure to light, or tight head wear. If you see the different symptoms or the different causes of headache which are mentioned in this, it says stress, migraine, tension type headache, concussion, cluster headaches. It does not talk about the eye. Now I'm going to address a very serious problem and a very serious situation that happens with me. How many of you guys have some point of time visited an ophthalmic surgeon with the complaints of a headache? A lot of us, right? Now, do you realize it's a part of our community when it thinks that you have a headache, run to the ophthalmic surgeon, get your number checked. Out of every 10 patients that I see, 7 patients who come to me with the problems of a headache. Now, do you realize that as an ophthalmic surgeon, I'm paralyzed to treat beyond headache? I'm paralyzed to treat this by a prescription beyond glass prescription. So this is what a very beautiful thing happens in my community. Whenever a patient comes to me, I get the refractive error checked. There are a few other causes of the headache that I address, and I treat them. I give the glass prescription. The patient looks at me with a very judgmental look. You just gave me a glass prescription? Are you sure you are a doctor? This we could have done with anybody else. See, that's a very critical thing that I do. I refer the patient to a physician. Most common cause of headache, as you call, it's migraine, it's stress-related headache, which I am not the right person to treat. I am not the best person to treat. So I add a tablet paracetamol to the patient. I give him a glass prescription and I ask him to keep the trial of specs or glasses with him. If he is satisfied, if he is treated, fair enough. Otherwise, I ask him to consult a neurologist, or ask him to consult to a physician for migraine. And that is when he looks at me and he thinks that, oh, that's it. And this is the way I paid $500 to this guy. I'm helpless. Now let's talk about something very serious, something very funny but serious. So there are 2 types of patients in the world. And let's divide this all into 2 parts. How many of you guys are fans of doctors ordering investigations? How many of you guys think that investigations are important? Fair enough. And how many of you guys think that the doctor is writing unnecessary investigations? Equally a lot of people. Now see, I have 2 types of patients who come to me. Patients who come to me walk with this complaint of headache, comes to me and does not ask, orders me. Sir, कुछ भी CT scan MRI करवा लो, मैं पैसे देने के लिए तैयार हूँ. I was like, dude, that's not my job. Your headache is going to be fine with either a prescription of glasses or paracetamol, or I'm going to make you refer to a neurologist. I'm not the person who is going to advise CT scan or MRI. There are a few rare diagnoses that I talk about, but that's not something that is the cause of so much of prevalence of headache in the community. And then there is a second class of patient which comes and whenever I write, comes and judges. Oh, sir ने तो इतने सारे investigations order कर दिए. Now see, do you realize the plight of the community? We are so much intelligent, we are so much intellectually qualified, we are so much evolved in the food chain of intellect that we have started judging a person who is 10 years into that practice. Have you ever stood up and asked a pilot why did he take through that cloud or turbulence and did not take it via that side? No, right? Have you ever walked into the flight, asked, whenever the pilot announces the name, I'm sure you guys don't give a damn, whatever his name is. Have you ever gone to him in the cockpit and asked him what his degree is, how much experience of flying he has? He doesn't. Your flight is 5,000 rupees. You are treating, you're getting him your life. But you don't ask his credibility. I don't defy or I don't question the people who question the credibility of doctors. I question the credibility of the patients when they start judging the treatment that is being given to them. I don't mind. I don't mind. But whenever your faith is dwindling, whenever you jump into things that you don't expect me to say and you don't expect me to satisfy you with, you come out with a face which I don't want to see. So that's a very psychological thing at one point of time. You guys, a lot of you must have also got this beautiful thing that has happened to you. How many of you guys have had their parents or had cataract surgeries done themselves at some point of time? Cataract surgeries, we have. Or you guys have taken your parents to that. We have a very common question that comes out in the community. Ketla rupiano lens mukavano. Do you want expensive lenses? Do you want cheap lenses? If you put expensive lenses, will I be able to see the best? If you put cheap lenses, will I be able to see less? And that's when I ask the patient, ek kaam karo, telescope fit kar do aankh mein. See, money is not directly proportional to the amount of sight that you get. Money is not proportional to the quality of treatment that you get. Quality of treatment is standard. See, let's get back. 20th November 1949, Sir Harold Ridley was the first guy who started intraocular implantation of lenses. During the World War, during a crash, the glass pieces went into the eye into a soldier, and the soldier started realizing that yes, I'm able to see better. And that material was inert. So that particular piece of glass remained in the eye, and that was the reason Sir Harold Ridley came up with this idea that you can take a cataract out, you can put in a lens. So from the first IOL generation, the first intraocular lens generation, a lot of evolution has taken place. Do you realize, back there they used to put the iris claw lenses, the most inert materials, but the most primitive materials. Since last 50 years, a lot of R&D is happening, the lenses are getting developed. How many of you guys have some or the other time had a retinal issue? Some problem with retina. So there's a very common consensus among the retinal surgeons that we treat, that we cater to, and the patients that we cater to. There's a very common consent to which we say that I'll arrest your progression of disease, but I cannot improve your vision. There's a very clear thing that we say. જેટલું દેખાય છે એમાં ફેર નહીં પડે, પણ હું તમારી નજર વધતા ઘટતા અટકાવી શકીશ. Do you get my point? The disease is such that I am helpless. The fact that I am helpless and the fact that I am not God is because you are paying me to come and see me at my hospital and I have to give this talk. If I was a God, I would have been in a temple and you would have been giving money without me asking for it. See, that's the basic irony, that's the basic paradox of our setup. So you see, whenever there is a new form of treatment which is coming up, the community is excited, the community is positive to be a part of that. The problem which comes is, do you really think that there's so much of money involved? It has been 10 years and I don't flaunt. I say this out of pity. It has been 10 years that I have been studying, not making money. A lot of my colleagues have already been escalated in the race of life. But do you forget, why do you forget at the end of the day that it's a profession? Medical, it's a profession in which you earn, in which you make money. Not at the cost of ethics. I do agree. We have a Hippocratic oath that we have taken, but I propose a very amazing thing. We should also have a Hippocratic oath for the patients, that I shall not harm the doctor. You read You do read those incidents of people beating doctors up. Now see, it's a normal functioning how it happens in a government hospital. We are a country which is burdened by so much of patient ratio that falls on a particular doctor that we are short of doctors. We absolutely are. At night, 12 o'clock, if there are two patients, a kid which has a huge injury and a dog bite in the eye, and there is a person who has red eyes, how much ever VIP that person is, I will cater to that kid first. That is the basis of triage. You attend the patients which require more attention. And then you also have a category in which there is no scope of betterment. Like you call them black category or moribund category, that I already know that the patient is going to die in 1 hour, and come what may, I am not able to intervene, I am not going to save that life. I'll save the life of that second person who is on the verge of his life being saved. And that decision, that very decision is my own, and that is what I have studied for a decade for this decision to be reached. You're getting my point. Patients walk up to me at night 12 o'clock just because of the fact that it's a government hospital, it's 24 hours open. You don't have the liberty to walk down at night 2 o'clock and say that I have that. I have a patient who walked up to me and said, sir, since last 6 hours, since last 10 hours, I'm not able to see anything. I was like, dude, he has an arterial occlusion, he has a retinal detachment, he has some sort of a nerve problem. I started investigating the patient. I was like, see what happened in the last 6 hours. Did you have some trauma? Did you rub your eyes? Did something enter? He's like, no, I broke my spectacles at night 9 o'clock. So technically he had come down at night 12 o'clock thinking that it's a government hospital. He has the liberty to get his eyes checked. Are you really kidding? And that is when we realize that it's not me howling at this place asking for attention. It's not me howling, it's not me haggling you guys against you guys for the respect that we guys used to get. I'm not even asking you guys to allow a few amount of malpractices that is going on in my setup already. I'm just asking you guys not to interfere my course of treatment by the little amount of suspicion in your mind. Respect your doctor when he says, I don't know. Respect your doctor when he says, I'm not able to treat you. He is million times better than the doctor who says, I know everything and I'll be able to treat you. You know, that's a very middle class thing to do. Whenever I have a patient of headache, I order MRI, CT scan at times when I think that there's a rare diagnosis which comes. The patient has moved around the entire town, has consulted innumerable physicians, has consulted innumerable neurologists, comes to me as a final opinion, I order an MRI, CT scan. When I receive the patient coming up with that test report, he says, oh shit, 2,500 wasted. There's nothing that came in the report. Look at the amount of negativity we have. That feeling of middle class on the face when a test comes negative. Do you really think that it would have been a better thing if you would have a positive thing? Be sad that you're not able to reach the diagnosis. Be sad that you're not able to reach that particular bullseye which you're supposed to hit. But why are you feeling, arey yaar, my 2,500 got wasted? 2 or 3 things that I also want to address is, see, what happens is, as a part of your prescription, a lot of times I prescribe Brufen or diclofenac as a painkiller. A lot of times my patients come back to me with acidity. They come back to me with refluxes, they come with stomachache. So I have evolved into a habit of prescribing an NSAID with an anti-acidity medicine. That is a proton pump inhibitor or any sort of a medicine which will prevent acidity. So that does not make my prescription as a polypharmacy. I'm being protective to my patients. This is a very common thing that I see in my patients. A lot of patients ask me for thandakna tipa. Aankh chokhi karwana tipa. There is nothing like that. There are no drops that make you feel cool in the eye. There are just tear substituents. There are just softeners. There are just lubricating eye drops. And that is when I apply the concept of placebo. A lot of time patients have, and I agree, there are patients which have itching, there are patients which have allergy, there are patients which have foreign body sensation, there are patients which have concretions in the eye, which I agree to. Yes, they are to be addressed. At one point of time when I realize that the patient is not listening to me, I write a lubricating eye drop. And I counsel, put this eye drops 3 times a day, you will be amazing. And trust me, the patient does get amazing. So and then look at the level of pyramids that are formed. And then there is an intellectual patient who goes home and Googles that I've written carboxymethyl cellulose. So he comes and asks me, you prescribe me lubricating eye drops. I was like, ask your Google to prescribe something better. A lot of times we face problems with steroids. The patient come and think that steroids are for bodybuilding. Do you realize 30% of your prescription drugs are steroids? You cannot substitute steroids. They are a part of the prescription. Just because of the fact that Google on Wikipedia says that it's a steroid molecule, you think that I'm prescribing steroids? No. I need to give you steroids for the wrong things that are going on inside your head. Sorry to sound a little boisterous, sorry to sound a little arrogant, but I have seen those patients that discontinue treatment, that shuffle doctors, that stop treatment in between, that think, આ ડોક્ટરને તો કાંઈ નથી આવડતું. તો તમને આવડે છે? There is a doctor who has studied and is offering you a solution or even telling you on your face that no, this thing cannot improve. Reaching a conclusion, I'm all in for second opinions. I'm all in for people asking me the right questions. Stop expecting the answers that you want. Start asking the questions which the doctor wants. Ask the right kind of questions. Hit the bullseye. And in that process, if the doctor comes and says, I'm so sorry, I don't know, or I need to refer to you to somebody higher, do not accuse him. तो पिछले 6 महीने से क्या कर रहे थे? You know, patients do that. And I agree, my fraternity is at equal fault, but that is beyond the scope of my addressing. 1%, even 50% of the community resorting to malpractice cannot dictate the reactions in such a way that it is your treatment that gets changed. I will not write a CT scan the next time somebody comes and looks at me, अरे यार ये तो 2,500 रुपए waste हो गए. I won't write a CT scan. I won't write a lubricating drop. And then there are patients who think, Saib kewa jaye ke ટીપા લખીને ના આપ્યા. The doctor did not address this topic. So yeah, that's the conclusion that I wanted. Thank you so much.